hot and the cold are both so intense. Put them together and test winter's a good time to stay in the cattle, but I'll be a happy snowman.
Disney News Talk Live. Hey friends, Wade for the Kingdom Report back with you one more time, covering all the latest Disney news, coast to coast around the world. Lots to talk about as always, and I can't wait to dive into it. Certainly this broadcast featuring a very important story, and that is all about Disney CEO Bob Chapek. He just cannot help himself. It seems like morale is at an all-time low within the Disney company. Insiders are sharing with all of the Hollywood trade publications, so not just at the Disney parks level, but also happening within the studio division. So this is permeating all over the place, and we are certainly going to get into that in just a bit. Before we get there, though, as always, we'd like to reward you for watching these shows. If you are so inclined to tune in between now, during the live show, which happens on Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, and Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So between now, the 11th, and Monday, the 13th, 8 a.m. Pacific time, you can enter yourself to win your very own Kingdom Report mug. All you got to do is leave the phrase that pays underneath this video on our YouTube channel. The phrase that pays this week? Frozen Ever After. Frozen Ever After is the comment you'll need to leave. After the live video's done, you can leave the comments down below. And all you got to do with that comment is 3 simple words: Frozen Ever After. You're entered for your own chance to win your very own Kingdom Report mug. If you are the winner, we will reach out to you and say, what color and where are we sending that sucker? It is always a pleasure to spend more of these mugs all over the country and even some in international destinations. And we occasionally get photos from folks that have received them, and they add them to their lineup of friendly coffee mugs, and it's always wonderful to see that logo go somewhere into a special cupboard, whether it be domestic or international. It's always a real treat. So Frozen Ever After is the phrase that pays this week. Good luck to Hugh. I said Hugh. That's right. Hey, it's not just me here. No. I can't do this alone. You see, whenever we do a Disney News Talk Live, and on occasion we do them in place of our standard Kingdom Report Live show. This is all about your opinions, your Disney parks perspective, your thoughts. This is where they shine. Typically during Kingdom Report Live, we go all out to share with you our thoughts and sort of our perspective on matters. However, occasionally, we like to get all of your feedback, all of your thoughts on what's happening, and that is really what the show is all about. So if you join us here live, you are certainly welcome to sound off and be a part of the broadcast. Jump on into our live chat, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or over on YouTube live streaming. Drop into chat. Sound off. Share what's on your mind as we go topic by topic. I can't wait to hear from you as you help drive this very show. On today's broadcast, as I mentioned before we get to who's here with us, Bob Chapek and the Disney CEO ship. He has fired the chief of the TV division for Disney. Many saw this man as a potential replacement for Chapek. In addition to that, there is a lot of uncertainty about whether or not Chapek's contract is going to get completely overhauled and he's going to get a new one, or he's not going to get one at all. And then on top of all of that, we've learned this week that as Bob Chapek has axed the TV chief and morale plummets, the board of directors, they've come out and shared that they are in fact confident in Bob Chapek's ability to run things. Very interesting developments, to say the least. In addition to that, are you a Disney adult? Do you even know what the definition of a Disney adult is? There's an analysis that we're going to be sharing with you here in just a bit concerning Disney adults, as that has been trending over the last week and a half due to a very wild story when it came to a millennial couple's wedding and exactly where they spent their money. We'll be talking about that. And also in just a bit, we're going to be covering for you a lot of outrage when it comes to Disneyland Paris and a cast member stepping in out there to try, I guess, to do his job. We'll let you be the judge. Ruined a wedding proposal in the process, and it absolutely went viral. We've got the video for you here, as well as some other great stories we're going to dive into. But before we get there, like I said, joining me this week for all the fun, you know him as perhaps the Golden Goose, as we've nicknamed him around here. He is our Disney reporter. He is the guy that likes to run half marathons now. His name, ladies and gentlemen, Garrett Hassel. What's up, buddy?
Hey everyone, I'm the Golden Goose. I already started laughing. I had to pull myself together before I unmuted myself. But good to see everyone through the screens that we're on. But yeah, it's good to be here. Disney half marathon. That's going to be my next goal.
On your way, huh?
Yeah, I'll be sure to vlog that experience as I pass out around mile 3 and then crawl my way across 13.1.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You've managed to climb such a mountain.
Hey, as a swimmer, running is naturally not my element. Like if it was like, all right, you're gonna swim a marathon with Ariel, I'll be like, all right, let's do it. It's like you're gonna run with Gaston. Whoa, that's too daunting of a task for me. Like I'm gonna need some Herculean training with Philatides to get in shape, and I need an awesome soundtrack to go along with it.
Ariel being your beautiful girlfriend, of course,
yes.
Not the Little Mermaid.
Yes. Well, they're one and the same for me.
Oh, I understand. Yes. You're dating the Little Mermaid, naturally. Yes. Tisha and Megan say, "Hey, all."
What's up?
Hey, Tisha.
It's one R and a D instead of a T, but I still love you both.
Oh. Everybody gets your name wrong, I tell you. Tisha and Megan, it's great to have you with us. And Andrew says, I'm going to see Jurassic World Dominion in an hour. Boy, mixed reviews on that one.
Hey, I want to see it too. I haven't seen the second Jurassic World, so I kind of have to play a little catch up before I go to a movie. But next week in Lightyear's coming out, I don't need to watch any prequels for that other than maybe Toy Story, but I've seen all those many times over and have been friends with a few of those characters.
Have you?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I used to work for this little startup company called Disney. And, you may have heard it. They do stuff in Florida and California and a few other places, but it's not that major.
A few other places, that's for sure. I'm glad you've been good friends with those folks. And Nathan says, "Cool. Hey, Nathan, cool back. How about that? Mandy says, hello. Hey, Mandy. Billy. Hi, Wade. Hey, Billy. Katrina Manzoni says hi. Hi, Katrina.
Katrina,
You know her?
Manzoni. I do know her. She's actually a stellar friend and a fantastic opera singer. If you've ever heard her perform, she does
Oh,
lovely
my
arias.
gosh.
Yes, she's a great soprano.
Katrina says that you are so golden. Our golden goose.
Yes, indeed.
How about that? Great to see Katrina in a chat today. And Demi Joe Lotto says, hey, y'all. Hope everyone having a magical weekend so far. Demi and Joe, I guess. Great to have you with us, too. Tim says, he's an American Hearts, Tennessee Country Land, Disneyland, Mickey Mouse. Us, okay. How he's got a horse there, a little cowboy.
Man, hey,
Just all
howdy,
kinds
hey.
of emojis.
That's all I can say. Hey, howdy, hey.
Trisha says the TV has been great on Disney Plus. That's sad. Yeah, losing the chief of TV over at Disney, chief of content, really, and entertainment. Pretty wild. Richard says, hello, everyone. Any word on the reopening of the Hyperion Theater? No, we're still waiting, Richard. I check in every time we do a Disneyland update, and I've been continuing to chat with all of our sources at the Disneyland Resort asking about that very pretty 2,000 plus seat venue that would be awfully helpful during the sweltering summer heat, Garrett.
Especially if they had a great show about a guy with a lamp and a carpet and a blue guy. That'd be I'm of course talking about the Blue Man Group. Yeah, I miss the old Aladdin show. I never got to see the Frozen show, but nothing really can beat Aladdin when it comes to like performances. That show just blew me away. Every time.
I keep seeing videos for some reason this week in particular of the genie breaking the fourth wall as he typically did during that show.
Yes,
are you noticing that?
Yeah, I've noticed that on TikTok a lot, where it just pops up, and it's like one was about like the Patriots, and that was like 4+ years ago. I'm like, man, they are just pulling some gold out, and yeah, the genie performer always just had the best jokes, and I'm if I was in that show, I'd be laughing, I'd break character, but they do a fantastic job across the board.
Sort of, yeah, making its way around right now. I think it's really funny all these years later in that show, and like different clips of it too, and from different people. So I'm not sure if this was strategic or what's going on, but I'm definitely noticing a lot more of these references back to the show and different clips, and it warms my heart. I love seeing it.
Oh, absolutely. I hope it's a movement. I hope Disney takes notice and like, maybe we should put this back in there, because like it was built for that show. I think it's only right that it stays there. And then the carpet flying, it's just a work of art. Truly, it was
a work.
It's a Broadway caliber show that you can do multiple times a day without any fuss, really.
Get on that carpet and fly.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, hey, good to see you. Valeria says, do you think the reservation system is hurting the parks, daily park ticket sales? People can no longer wake up and say, let's go to Disneyland or Disney World in a spontaneous way. Yeah, I mean, it's complicated things to a certain degree now, where it is very hard to be spontaneous. You have to map out every square inch of your visit, especially Disney World. Disney World has become such a destination for the sake of mapping out every square inch because there's so much going on, because there's so much to do. However, I do think that the reservations have become a lot easier to get as they've upped the reservation count for all levels, it seems. And now it's like more crowded than ever at all the parks coast to coast. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, apparently to Disney leadership, the reservation system only has made things better. Maybe from a number standpoint, but from a guest relations standpoint, I don't really see it as that great of a thing. Around holidays, absolutely. Like, Christmas, 4th of July, where the parks absolutely get sold out within the first 2 hours of opening. I think it's a work of genius. It works there. But in terms of day-to-day and spontaneity, not so much. Being in Florida, you'd wake up and be like, oh, let's just go down the road. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning of the 5th of November, and then I'm going to go to the park. That's the earliest spontaneity I can do, but still planned out.
And good luck.
Yeah.
It's definitely throwing a wrench in things. So I know at this point, it's like, are we, do we need any more of these reservations? I feel like, especially if we're reaching that normal 100% capacity like we had, then what's the point of all of this? What are we doing? And I think to dovetail on that also, it's probably important to reference the fact that the CDC is rescinding COVID-19 international air testing rules as of this weekend. So that's some really big news for international travelers, rather, in particular. And Reuters is reporting that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention late on Friday issued an order rescinding a 17-month-old requirement that people arriving in the United States by air test negative for COVID-19. And the order was signed by the CDC Director, Rochelle Walensky. It takes effect for flights departing to the United States from a foreign country at or after 12:01 a.m. starting Sunday. So, boy, I think this is about to open the floodgates of international travel again. I think that certainly the complications of throwing in that sort of 24-hour window, certain airlines had even more specific measures in place, and different countries even, were sort of governing differently when it came to the restrictions and how it worked to go somewhere. I think Canada still, to a certain degree, has some really over-the-top restrictions for their own citizens as to where and who can go somewhere and how that all works out. But it looks like this may just open up the floodgates of foreign travelers for the first time in, roughly 2.5 years.
Yeah, and foreign travelers are especially a huge chunk of sales when it comes to Walt Disney World. As it is Walt Disney World, you have, a very strong population coming from Europe, Africa, and even a lot of Europeans come there, and also you have pretty much South America all coming to Walt Disney World. So for them to open this up, I am really curious to see how guest relations is going to handle this reservation system, because it wasn't there before, and there could be like that knowledge gap where people will not know what to do, and guest relations is going to get yelled at in a couple different languages. So I feel for them. Disneyland, a lot of the Asian market travels there, but Disneyland is the original, so definitely people are looking to get their Disney fix. But the reservation system's only going to make things so much smoother in that regard. And that's sarcasm, of course, but it's nice to see other nations and our international guests coming over, because I think that experience of them seeing Disney World makes it better, especially when they get, the cultural reps back in Epcot again. That I think makes it more authentic. That's what I really miss. I miss the cultural reps more so than the guests, because the reps really make it authentic when they speak the languages of those countries. It just adds a little more culture to, Epcot, which is all about international culture.
Amen to that. It's great to have not only the possibility of so many more cultural reps back and the possibility of that authentic experience in action once again, because it has been a while. And we know that Disney has been looking to find a way to get all of sort of that original version of Epcot back, at least in World Showcase, that we once knew. So it's great to see that we're now finally moving that direction. And Garrett, we can't take another step here on this Disney News Talk Live without recognizing something very important. And that is the birthday of our own Tyler Crouch.
Woo woo, fireworks go off.
Boom, 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 boom.
Absolutely. He's turning 57, everyone. Looks great, doesn't he?
Unbelievable. It really is those tiki drinks that keep him young.
Absolutely. It's the pineapple and the poi and all the other, lovely, lovely things. But pineapple juice, good for you, high in potassium.
Out of his own mouth. It's all the tiki drinks, and definitely keep him looking and feeling young, that's for sure. So congratulations, another spectacular year to the Kingdom Report's Tyler Crouch. Happy birthday, you son of a gun. He and Katrina off having a day of birthday magic, enjoying themselves throughout Southern California. So we wish them well. As you saw here just moments ago, Katrina was dropping into chat saying hello. So no doubt they are keeping their eye on things from a distance, but thrilled for Tyler's next spectacular year.
Happy birthday, buddy. Miss ya. We'll have to go get some tiki drinks when we're all together once again.
Tiki drinks.
Yes, indeed.
Do you have a favorite adult beverage, sir?
Just pineapple juice and rum. I'm pretty good on that. It's very, that's what I drink when I go to Hawaii. I'm very simple, but Bahama Mama, that's a classic favorite of mine. I love me some Bahama Mamas. That's always a solid choice. And my best friend Brendan and I, we drink that whenever we're together. So Bahama Mama is going to be my choice for tiki inspired drinks.
Bahama Mama.
Absolutely.
My goodness. I had an adult beverage out on a cruise line here recently. I'm trying to remember exactly what the name of it was, but a little fruity. There was some rum mixed in, some pineapple. It was very tropical.
Yeah.
The name escapes me now, but it was great. It was great. Whatever it was called. I think it was a Havana something or other. If I recall correctly.
Okay. Ooh, it sounds very Caribbean-esque, but
it was.
Any tiki drink has to have rum in there. It's Captain Jack Sparrow's favorite drink. It's the one that gets him up and the one that puts him to bed. But then you have to ask, why is the rum gone?
Why is the rum gone? We all know why. Happy birthday, Tyler, says Trish. Lori Jean says, happy birthday to you, Tyler. So sweet. Thank you, guys. Means an awful lot. Tim says, happy birthday, America.
Oh, that's coming up.
That's right. We're a month away.
Yeah,
so.
That's coming up, but I like it. I like it. Happy birthday, America. Indeed. A salute to all nations, but mostly America.
Preemptive strike, you bet. And question of the week this week before we dive into the news. What's your favorite breakfast spot at Disneyland or Disney World? Do you have a favorite breakfast spot? Is there something that sticks out to you when you go to, whether it's the West Coast or the East Coast? I mean, you can visit either of these places and they've got great breakfast options. Restaurant-wise, what is your focus? And, is it at a park? Is it at a hotel? Are you somebody that drops by Disney Springs for brunch? I'd be very interested to hear your perspective on the matter. I will tell you that when it comes to favorite breakfast spot for me, obviously I'm a bi-coastal man. I drop in to Florida. I drop in to Anaheim, California very frequently. And out in Walt Disney World, one of my favorite breakfasts off the beaten path too happens to be over at the Yacht Club Resort. And it is at the Ale and Compass restaurant. A tremendous breakfast out there. Very few people seem to know about it.
Everyone knows it for its dinner, not the brunch or the breakfast.
Only a handful of folks that I ever see inside when I get there for breakfast. And I don't know, it's so peaceful in the morning too. Like if you can get the first reservation and then get your coffee to go and sit out on that white sand beach and Crescent Lake. Oh, there's nothing like it.
It's a very intimate setting. The blue paint on the walls, the nautical theme. I think it's a very calming way to start your day. It wakes you up very slowly, like the sun rising on over the parks. Like it's a good spot. Absolutely.
I love it myself, and if you happen to drop by the Ale and Compass, I would recommend one of two dishes to get. So one of the nice things about Ale and Compass, and they just brought this back, and they had it prior to the pandemic shutdown, and then, of course, when the restaurant returned, they did not necessarily have this as an option for obvious reasons, but they just brought back the buffet add-on. So basically what happens is you can order straight up entrees a la carte, or you can go ahead and order the breakfast buffet. So you get everything on the buffet plus an entree and your coffee, tea, juice, soft drinks, all included. And the price, because I think it's off the beaten path and it is something that they're trying to get to entice people to come over. It's only $23 for the buffet option, which to me, $23 for a buffet at Disney is unreal. It's super special, but it comes with seasonal fruit, yogurt parfaits, pastries, granola, cheddar biscuits, country gravy, warm cinnamon rolls, and then, like I said, it includes a entree of choice along with your beverage. And the entrees I always go with, now down to one of two, and that is either the crab cake Benedict.
Okay.
That's poached egg, jumbo lump crab cakes, and arugula with lemon herb hollandaise, or the blueberry bacon pancakes with a choice of bacon or sausage. So outstanding options if you ever happen to do it on an Epcot day, by the way, if you're a Disney World traveler, do it on an Epcot day, make that your breakfast spot, and then walk over to the back door of Epcot at the International Gateway. It is a wonderful way to start the day. Very low key. Like I said, you got that amazing view of Crescent Lake out back, and you start your day with a pretty spectacular breakfast. I always do the ride share if I'm staying either off property or at a hotel that on Disney property that just happens to be a good distance away. I'll do like Lyft or Uber on over, and it's like $7 or $8 for now. We'll see how gas prices go, but and then that'll take you on over to the front door of the yacht club, and it's terrific. It's just off to the left hand side of the lobby. You happen to have any favorite breakfast spot either coast?
When this question came up, I thought an image popped in my head right away, and it brought me back to my childhood. So I'm going back to where it all started at Disneyland, and for me, the Plaza Inn right at the end of Main Street is just so iconic in my mind because I would go there as a kid, and you'd have the character meet and greet, and I remember Tigger and all these wonderful characters coming out. There's always Tigger. Tigger always showed up every time, and I would always sit outside on the patio. And it's just a nice crisp morning. You see people walking in. It's just where the magic begins for me. And I think it's so picturesque. It's so classic. And you can't really get an experience like that at Disney World because Disney World is just absolutely insane and busy. But at Disneyland, the Plaza Inn just gives you that nice, relaxing start to the morning. And you don't feel rushed. You're like, know what? I can just hop over to Tomorrowland. I can run over to Adventureland. No biggie at all. And I love it.
And having the Sleeping Beauty Castle as your backdrop too. What a way to start the day.
It's so picturesque, and it's also, I think it's very personable. Cinderella Castle can be quite intimidating. It's a beast of a castle, but Sleeping Beauty, it's nice. It's small. It's got little pink details with the blue roofing, and then you got the Matterhorn off in the distance. I think it's just something out of like a storybook come to life, and you're right there. But yeah, Plaza Inn definitely stands out. And then, the Jolly Holiday across the way, if you're ready, if you want to grab something and go, those are both great locations, very romantic, and I love them. It just makes me think of my childhood. So I'd go with those locations. At Disney World, Cape May's the simple, easy choice because it's right next to Epcot, which is my favorite Walt Disney World park. And you can grab buffet and head on into the park right away. So Cape May on the East Coast, but Plaza Inn on the West.
You're right next door to the yacht club, over at Beach Club. It's you got the same idea.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going Cape May, but then you said yacht club. I'm like, now any Disney aficionado would know that there's a clear line where the paint changes color from blue to silverish gray, and where that is. But yeah, Cape May, I like it because it's very open. It's very welcoming, like you're at a beach club, so it's perfect for that. And they have ready to go omelets or ready to made to order omelets. I like that. I don't really like the normal eggs, but the omelet station's always my first stop. I get like 3 different kinds.
Oh, yum yum.
Mm-hmm.
Get your omelet on, super cheesy, just like you.
Absolutely, got to get my 5 dozen eggs every day, just like Gaston.
Andrew agrees with you. Plaza Inn at the Disneyland Resort is always clutch, he says. Lori
Smart
Jean
man.
Also agreeing that breakfast is at Plaza Inn.
Very smart indeed.
Yeah. And I'll tell you that part of my career at Disney, the experience that you now have with Minnie Mouse on your way in with that special photo op, yours truly was able to make that happen. So special commemorative photo op with Minnie Mouse there at Plaza Inn. Took about 1.5 years of getting all of the minds together and all of the massive egos in the organization to say yes to. It seems like a simple photo op, but let me tell you, doing anything at Disneyland after all these years, it's an act of God to move a water cooler. Sometimes even there's a lot of work involved.
And Wade, was it worth it? Was all the hard work worth it?
Absolutely, because it lives on to this very day and continues to be improved upon. And that magic is extra special, knowing that I was a key part of making that a reality. There's nothing I think more heartfelt and uplifting than knowing that you were a part of something that now is going to make so many other people happy. So a real treasure to have been a part of that. That's for sure. Huzzah!
Huzzah! I tip my hat to you. Thank you for creating that memorable experience. Minnie being there is just fitting. It's perfect. I think it's a great spot for Minnie to be. And matches her dress.
Oh, yes. Yep. That's the idea. Well, Garrett, something happened this past week at the Disneyland Resort. Maybe you heard about it. Maybe you didn't. It's rather unfortunate, a little tragic to a certain degree. I'd like you to check out the following.
Okay.
Here goes something. Sharon, airbags, please.
The weapon facility is not equipped with airbags.
Okay.
Okay.
I love Karen at the end. The web facility is not equipped with airbags, along with a lot of ibuprofen and a fifth of vodka after that ordeal. My goodness, are you okay, Spidey?
Oh, the poor guy. Let's watch that one more time.
Here goes something. Sharon, airbags, please.
The weapon facility is not equipped with airbags.
Okay.
I remember a few months ago when that person edited a video of like Spider-Man hitting the wall, and I now wonder, did that person manifest this to happen? Because it almost happened in the same exact way, except now we know that wall is not solid. It's almost meant to be broken and, catch the fall. And for anyone that may not know, that is an audio animatronic. That is not a stunt performer. So luckily no one was harmed.
Thank God.
Just, a little R&D mix up, a little animatronic mix up. But yeah, luckily Peter Parker, Spider-Man, still able to be your favorite neighborhood web slinging hero.
Poor fella. Flying on into that silo. Yeah, the Mercury News reports that the Spider-Man Stuntronic smashed into a silo atop the Web Slingers attraction, the building, rather, of the Web Slingers attraction on top during a rooftop stunt show in the Avengers Campus California Adventure this past Thursday. The Stuntronic failed to release from a cable the Spidey robot swings from and slammed into the side of the silo where the audio animatronic typically lands during a midday performance of the rooftop stunt on Thursday. As mentioned, the dramatic crash caused the paneling on the side of the rooftop silo to collapse. Fortunately, occasional crashes were built into the DNA of the Spider-Man Stuntronic and the rooftop silo. That's one of the key reasons, rather. Spidey soars over a building rather than the crowd, in case he doesn't stick the landing. So smart idea, Imagineering there. And Imagineering even built a crash mode into the audio soundtrack that accompanies the Spider-Man stunt show at the resort. So they knew that something like this would happen. It says the web facility not being equipped with airbags. Track announcement for the audio is exactly what is supposed to play when it doesn't go to plan. So that's great that the audio responded so quickly and realized, he's totally off course, this Stuntronic, and it's going to go crashing into the silo. Yeah. Thank God it is over the rooftop.
Yeah. I can only imagine that in a crowd setting would be horrendous, because I'm sure that robot is not light by any means. Like, I'm sure it's got at least a good 150 pounds on there, because you got all the mechanisms inside of it. But yeah, the Imagineering a park on this one, they plan to succeed, but they also plan to fail. And they had everything lined up, so the story never was broken, except the robot was, possibly.
Kind of phenomenal. Yeah, that Stuntronic. I'm sure it's cheap.
Oh, yeah, it's only $100,000 for the tip of a finger for that. But yeah, when the paneling came off, I was like, "Oh, that looks like it was built for that," and in fact, it was. So, and then you see a video later of like the guys putting it back together. It's like, okay, that's not so bad. At least we know that like it wasn't like solid metal, and you just see a spider impaled stuck into the wall or whatever. Then you'd have to run clips all day long.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be flung around like a corpse. He's supposed to move and flex and curl as he flips and everything. So
Yeah.
that whole stiff, straight, flat body is definitely not the way it was supposed to go. But always incredible to see those little blunders or mishaps when they do happen, which got me thinking. What in-park blunder have you witnessed and where? I've always, been interested in hearing whether or not somebody has come across. I call them like real-life bloopers at Disney parks because that's what they are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have you ever, by chance, come across any sort of blunder or blooper in real life?
I'm trying to think. I haven't. I've seen several videos of them. When I worked for the Mouse, I remember there was always the horrible thing of what could happen if you're doing the incredible dance party, and there have been videos of what can happen, and it usually happens with Mrs. Incredible, Elastigirl, but I've never seen it firsthand, luckily, and I kind of hope I don't, because I feel like that takes away from the magic when you're looking at it in person but if it's done from video, I feel like it's not as like, oh, it's not as real, even though it still is real. But I have not seen any in-park bloopers or blunders, as you put it.
Well, I have. I've
Oh.
been fortunate, I guess, or maybe unfortunate. I don't know how you want to describe it, but I have been in the right place at the right time, basically. I've watched as the... They call the dragon at Fantasmic, by the way, at least internally, they call it Murphy, as in Murphy's Law, that it will always fail on that island when you need it to work the most. And with Fantasmic freshly having returned recently, I think it's fun to mention this. Many years ago when the dragon was fairly new, I mean, we'll talk like within 2 months of that dragon premiering, and I think it went down almost immediately, and they went almost the entire summer without the dragon, and the whole summer promotion at Disneyland was around this dragon. It was around Summer Night-tastic and Feel the Heat like never before, and this audio animatronic dragon that rises up out of Times Square Island was supposed to be this massive cornerstone marketing piece to the summer, and then almost the entire summer you didn't see it because it basically collapsed under its own weight in the basement and had all these problems. Anyway, so 2 months after its like re-debut, I remember watching Fantasmic one time, and there's a point where the dragon sort of looks down at Mickey, and he's got his sword and he's getting ready to shoot the sword at it, and just at that time the dragon went nosediving down at Mickey, and very like wildly dangerous for in real life, wildly dangerous. Of course, the lights went out immediately, and they go to miss screens, interpretations of what's going on until they can figure out how to take care of things. And as I recall, because it nosedived, they were unable to get it back under the island, and so they just kept the mist screens up the entire rest of the show, and then for the whole night until they cleared the park out, and then I guess they brought in a crane. But I remember watching that nosedive, and that was terrifying, but also it was funny to watch. At least when you think, oh, I'm watching this Maleficent's dragon and Mickey Mouse, and this dragon goes diving after Mickey, and for people that don't know, it looked humorous. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. And then I would think that the other one that really stands out to me is probably and I've seen this happen a couple of times, and I think there's even video that surfaces every year around Christmas time, but I have watched, I can't tell you how many times, the toy soldiers in the Christmas Fantasy Parade fall and eat it.
Yes, I've seen a lot of videos of that as well. Yeah, that one. And the toy soldiers, because it's almost like they're not meant to be walked in, they're almost meant to be stationary, but they have like big block feet. It's like they have no like real movement. It's all very static.
It's something. And you feel terrible for the performer, just because they've been through so much, already in terms of training and in terms of rehearsal, and then they get out there and they make one wrong step, and they're in these big clunky costumes, and then basically they hurt themselves. So I've watched as a head, like a not a head, but on the head, I've watched as they have fallen over and the hat on the head of the toy soldier completely cracked off. And I've also seen one toy soldier walk into another toy soldier, causing basically a domino effect because they're so synchronized in the way that they move around each other. And they only have these two little eye holes in which to see, these performers do. And so it's a very complicated thing for these performers to pull off every time they do this parade. And, they've never really made the costume any better in 50 plus years or however long they've had that.
No.
Because I feel like they've had that parade forever. I know I'm off by a couple years, but that parade never goes away. And so they've never really change the way that those costumes are made, and every year they continue to have issues with them. I always feel terrible for those performers.
And while you're talking about Fantasmic, at the Walt Disney, at the Hollywood Studios version, I've seen it where it's more of a crane than an actual dragon, but when the dragon comes out of the mountain, I've seen it where the head, like, they can't get it back in because they've got about 3 minutes to make this 10,000 pound plus thing go back into a mountain. I've seen it where the head just stays out there and they're just miss screen, and you see Mickey up on top of the mountain, and that's what all he does, and they don't do anything else. And it's like, so anytime I watch, I'm like, will they get it back in? Will they not? I don't know. Let's flip the coin. It's almost 50-50, but I've seen that before where they can't get the dragon back into the mountain. I hope that they change it when it reopens to the Disneyland version, but highly unlikely.
Yeah, I think however long it takes for them to get that back up and running, they'll probably continue to operate it as traditionally as they have. And hopefully we'll be surprised. Please, in the comments says, did Disney address the crowd when Spider-Man ate it? Yes, through the predetermined audio, as a matter of fact. So they already had prepared for that with the predetermined audio, so nothing to worry about there. The crowd knew what was happening. I see Wannabe says, is Kite Tails considered a blunder?
No, those are controlled crashes. What Wannabe is talking about is when the kites go up into the air and then they land them into the the bleachers or the stands where the guests would be. There's one side of the theater that's not open. Those are all controlled crashes. I asked cast members about that when I went there for its grand opening, and they're meant to get over there because they have these big giant kites, and you can't let them fall into the water because then you have to dry them off and then they can't be used. So you crash them into the stands. So I wouldn't consider it a blunder. I consider that a controlled landing, as much as you can call it that. When it lands in the water, that's a blunder. But for the most part, it's meant to land in the stands, which I don't think looks very good, but you can't really do anything because you're surrounded by trees.
An entirely possible Wannabe is also being sarcastic and saying, is the entire show a blunder? I think maybe that's what they're getting at.
Maybe.
Perhaps. Maybe. And Paulus Adventure says, I saw a Doctor Strange show ended abruptly when the soundtrack on the show were way out of sync. Yeah, it's been known to happen. I've also seen some live atmosphere things be out of sync with the speakers, and they've had to just shut it down for the sake of saving the integrity of what's going on. Because if you're not on cue, or if your character's voice isn't lined up with what's supposed to be happening, then nothing makes sense. And thus, the story doesn't matter. So definitely something that I've witnessed myself, Paolo. So thank you for sharing that. And Tisha Megan says, Fantasmic broke down last night, 3 minutes in. Yeah, I've been hearing that since its return after its long pandemic closure. Fantasmic having just come back to us on Memorial Day weekend. Sounds like continues to have a lot of issues operationally, just staying afloat throughout each showing keeps happening. So, it feel like it's got to be that dragon again. 9 times out of 10, that dragon seems to be one of the biggest plagues, when it comes to the show overall. And I guess 3 minutes in, it wouldn't be the dragon yet, but I feel like there's so much that rides on that dragon being seen. There's a potential that it could bring down other things. That's just my speculation, of course. But 3 minutes in, there's not a whole lot that's happened yet. And so it's unfortunate that people that wait for hours, because that's what's happening now. There's no sort of fast pass or show pass for it. People that are waiting hours to see this now, to have it just be canceled immediately, that sucks.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It really is, because it's a fantastic show, a phantasmic show when it actually happens.
Hey.
But yeah, when those things happen and you've waited for hours, it's heart wrenching. Same as you're on an attraction, you've been in line for 2 hours, and then it's like Radiator Springs Racers is now closed. You're just like, I just waited 2 hours, and you're like, dang. At least with attractions, they usually open back up later. With a show, it's one and done pretty much. You can't undo it unless it's like a daily show like Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair.
Oh, the friendship fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Who doesn't love themselves a little friendship on stage?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Garrett, someone not making friends right now.
Yes.
Disney CEO Bob Chapek.
What?
I know. Not typical, right?
He
He's everybody's BFF.
He seems so friendly with, his robotic smile and his really personable greetings.
Yeah, well, guess what? Not so much anymore. Even,
Mhm.
I know, even after hanging out with cast members last month at the Electrical Parade kickoff, do you remember how engaging and upbeat and wonderful he was there?
Oh no, because he wasn't.
What do you mean? I have footage. Stand by.
Hello, hello. Hi, nice to meet you. Hi. How are you? Good, thank you. How are you? Bye, thank you.
Oh,
That is
man.
so normal, Garrett.
That
That is so normal.
For a praying mantis, maybe. Like I counted in that entire clip, he smiled I think 2 times, and one of them was him like doing a 90 degrees raise of his hand, and like it was like, I he may be a good numbers guy, but when it comes to like Mr. Personality, he doesn't have the same awe that Walt or even Michael Eisner or Bob Iger had. Like or even Josh Tomorrow, I'm surprised no one was like Bob, like they called him out on anything bad, but like he seemed nice enough, but he doesn't seem like someone I would have a very long conversation with. It seems it'd be like a yes or no answer. It'd be like, how are you doing today? Yes. Okay. All right. But yeah, he's not as welcoming. His facial expression's very, very solid, but yeah. Bob seems like a swell fella.
He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
He's, and I like to play that video because as a reminder, that is a space right there in that video where he was surrounded by an entourage, all of the park leadership executives of Disneyland. In addition to that, his own private security was there. And that was a cast member preview for the Electrical Parade. So all of those people he was talking to were people he could easily fire if they got out of line. People that could easily be disposed of. So there's a reason why nobody, called out to him and said anything sort of inappropriate. Like probably would happen, unfortunately, in a real world scenario. He's not the most popular man. A lot of people have issues with him. And so that was him, I think, trying to be... I guess warm and engaging, and Tisha and Megan say, "Hi all." He looks like, "Who are you people, and why are you here?" A little bit, yeah. Tony says, "Chapstick," crying emoji.
So many great.
Patty says, "Disneyland's facade is cracking. I love Disneyland, but human relations with their employees is marring their image. Also, the long lines and breakdowns are ruining the experience." Patty, you're not the only person that is saying that.
Mm-hmm.
We're hearing it a lot more, not just at Disneyland, but especially at Disney World as of late. In fact, there is an awful lot that has happened this past week that not only continues to sort of mar that image of Disney, not just in the eyes of the consumer, but more importantly, because the experience trickles down in the eyes of the people that work there. And as mentioned at the top of the program, Bob Chapek fired the executive in charge of content entertainment for television and Disney Plus over at the company this week. Many folks saw this person that he fired as the replacement for Bob Chapek.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
And definitely it has rattled the company to the core to a point now where it sounds like there is such frustration that morale is lower than ever. We're going to talk about that and share the full story with you right after the break. And the following comes to us courtesy of the New York Post. They write that morale is at an all-time low at the Mouse House after Disney CEO Bob Chapek dumped TV content boss Peter Rice. Rice, who joined Disney after the media giant acquired 21st Century Fox in 2019, was replaced on Thursday by his number two, Dana Walden, in what many have described as a shocking shakeup. Saying, quote, "It's not good for the company. Morale is terrible," a Disney insider told The Hollywood Reporter. No reason was given by Disney as to why Rice was let go, but sources buzzed Thursday that Chapek sharpened the axe before it fell on him after he butted heads with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Quote, "During all the press about the DeSantis fiasco, it's incredibly uncomfortable for a CEO whose power is slipping away to have the person who is seen as your successor sitting in the room with you," the source told The Hollywood Reporter. "You kill that person," close quote. Chapek has had a slew of missteps since he took to the helm in 2020, including grappling with the fallout from his fumbling response to Florida's parental rights and education bill. As his boss flip-flopped on the response to DeSantis' legislation, enraging Disney employees, Rice issued his own memo at the same time, saying, quote, "Personally, I see this law as a violation of fundamental human rights," close quote. That likely didn't win any points with Chapek or other execs who viewed Rice as someone who didn't conform to Disney's more buttoned-up corporate culture. Rice broke the news of his firing to employees Thursday in a memo capping a tumultuous ride at the company. Saying, quote, "I am so proud of the work we have done together, the friendships we have forged, and the consistent success we have celebrated. As I depart Disney, may I leave you with a last thought. Remain committed to excellence and always recognize that our stories are dependent upon the imagination and artistry of the writers, directors, producers, actors, and craftsmen that we have engaged to call Disney home," close quote. Rice, who had more than 3 decades of experience in the entertainment industry, soared at Rupert Murdoch's Fox Entertainment, where he grew the profile of Fox Searchlight, greenlighting some of its highest-grossing, critically acclaimed films like Slumdog Millionaire and Little Miss Sunshine. His success at the division led him to a promotion overseeing the media giant's TV assets. The star exec was brought over to Disney 3 years ago, where he oversaw the division that made over 300 shows a year for platforms like ABC, Disney Channel, Disney Plus, Hulu, and FX. Quote, "He's not a bad guy, just grew up in the wrong corporate culture," a source told the Post on Thursday, citing cumulative issues over time for the rift. But the bad press for a company that had run rather smoothly under Chapek's predecessor, Bob Iger, caused some in Hollywood to speculate if Chapek was up to the job. Quote, Chapek's contract is up in a year and a half, a Hollywood executive told the Post. I'd be worried, close quote. According to reports, Disney has yet to re-sign Chapek, but Rice's dismissal did come with a vote of confidence from Disney's chairman, Susan Arnold, who backed the CEO's decision on Thursday, saying, quote, the strength of the Walt Disney Company's businesses coming out of the pandemic is a testament to Bob's leadership and vision for the company's future. In this important time of business growth and transformation, we are committed to keeping Disney on the successful path it's on today. And Bob and his leadership team have the support and confidence of the board, close quote. Axing a potential successor isn't new in the cutthroat world of media, nor is it an anomaly at Disney. Iger purged Chief Operating Officer Tom Staggs in 2016 when the exec was widely seen as the CEO's successor, and Michael Eisner pushed out Jeffrey Katzenberg back in 1994. Once again, thank you, New York Post, for those words. Pretty wild, huh, Garrett? You listen to all of that talk about insiders coming forward and just voicing that displeasure, him axing the guy that everybody seemed to think, including myself, by the way, at this point, I thought Peter Rice was going to succeed him as the CEO next. So he gets rid of this guy who is the heir apparent to many. Now he's gone, and it just brings the studio into a sense of deepened distrust and frustration, and morale is cratering there. We already know that months ago during Chapek's on again, off again, should we, shouldn't we statements around the state of Florida and the parental rights and education bill, that all led to such anger and rage by so many cast members that happened to be coast to coast, leading to hundreds of people in various Zoom calls. I mean, for specific departments, hundreds of people were on these calls, and we were even told that these cast members would come to these Zoom calls with their sort of divisions leadership trying that, as they were, these divisions leadership making an attempt to pacify and sort of calm the rage that was building because Disney hadn't said anything about the bill. And then a lot of these cast members that came into these Zoom calls were calling for the resignation of Bob Chapek at that time. We know that Disney has since reversed course and went all out, and then that led to a huge fisticuffs with the state of Florida, and now the state of Florida has repealed the Reedy Creek Improvement Act and has now put them basically on the shelf when it comes to governing themselves. I think that all within a year's time is going to officially start being sort of peeled back in terms of actual things happening. It happened by vote, and now I think we're a year away from all of those things happening in reality. But here we are now, the studio side of things, completely disappointed, very frustrated, morale cratering. And then you have the board of directors coming out at the same time all this is happening to go, oh no, we support him. It's like the song goes, one of these things just doesn't belong here. And I would honestly trust the insider more than what the board says, because the board is never going to be like, we do not trust this guy with our leadership, because then that takes away all the integrity of the company and it makes it look like, what are we doing? So the board has to back him up. And I was shocked when I heard this, but it's not unlike Bob to do this, because back when, CFO Tom Staggs was around, everyone thought, oh, Staggs would be taking over Iger's job. And everyone was like, he's been with the company a while. And then it was learned that, supposedly that Chapek was the one that got Tom Staggs axed. And so when you're in a seat of power, such as being the CEO of the largest entertainment company in the world, you have to know that you will not everyone's going to have a legacy like Michael Eisner, Bob Iger, or Walt Disney, where you're going to lead for decades. And a lot of people have looked at Chapek as like the wartime
manager where, times are tough, we're going to utilize him, but he's not the creative sort that all the other ones have. And for Rice to, be taken out, it's very, very sad. And so you have to wonder who is going to get the spot, because uh, Bob's Bob Chapek's contract is going to be coming up soon, and the question is it going to be extended? I for one hope not, but I don't know if the board supports him, it might happen, and then it's like, what's going to happen? So this is going to be a very interesting time, and like numbers wise, you can look great, but if morale is bad, do you really want that? Like, hey, we got all the money in the world, but no one's happy working here. I would rather have people being happy and lose money, but that's why I'm not in charge.
It's like, what's going to happen when you have a CEO that is so universally disliked by the public?
Mhm.
And it seems interesting to me that the board felt compelled to put out a statement saying, no, 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 we have full confidence. No, no, no,
Mhm.
no. We like this guy. No, no, no. He's
Yeah.
our champ. After making one of the most unpopular decisions in company history here with the firing of Peter Rice.
Yeah.
No, no, no. We back him up. What's What's the purpose in making that statement if you don't know that people already have a deep either distrust or disdain for Bob
Mhm.
Chapek? You clearly know it. That's why you're making the statement. Why else are you just coming out and saying it?
Yeah.
There's an obvious rift there that you know exists, and your consumer base doesn't like the guy.
Yeah.
And I get it that you're making money, just kind of like you said. You're making money hand over
Mhm.
fist, and profits are up, and you're doing well. While the stock, very different story. Granted,
Yeah.
stock market isn't doing well. Just
Across the
sort
board,
of
yeah.
as a
Mhm.
full, but it's certainly something that over the course of Chapek's tenure, and I do attribute much of Disney's ebb and flow to pandemic woes and issues, because so much of their revenue comes via parks, and the parks were shut down forever.
Yeah.
So he does get kind of, I guess an aside when it comes to that. He gets a little bit of an excuse there, but
Mhm.
he, as a personality and as the leader of the greatest storytelling company in the world, is so universally disliked by not
Mhm.
just the public to a big degree, but also now his employee base.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a healthy CEO to extend a contract for. That doesn't
Yeah.
seem like a healthy personality
Mhm.
and I know that the board is all about results, but at the same time, do you care about the core of your company? Do you care about how your company feels and the people that operate and function this space? Are you concerned about how they're feeling? Because there's a lot of frustration aimed all in the direction of this one man.
Mhm. And like, if you only care about the bottom line, if you only care about, like, are you in the black, are you in the red, things will not go well. Like, if you're an accounting firm, that's then that's all that really matters. But when you are a company that is built upon magic making, creativity, and creating these fantastic worlds where anyone can be anything, you need to have that morale. And it's it's shocking. Like, when I have friends that are still cast members, and when I ask, like, they are not directly affected by Chapek, he is not their direct supervisor or boss, and they're like, we don't feel like we have a direction. Like, our managers don't really seem to know what's really going on, and all that. And it's sad to see, because when Iger was in charge, you would be like, oh man, like, we've got new stuff coming, and you actually felt that emotional connection to the boss. But with Chapek, you don't necessarily feel that, and he doesn't seem like, a transformational leader or a charismatic leader, someone that inspires others. He seems more like the one that's like punches in at 9, punches out at 5, and then, like, whatever happens happens. And when there's no morale, things are going to start to change for the worse when it comes from the guest perspective, especially in the parks, where you're going to have cast members that don't care. You're going to have cast members that don't show up, because why would you show up if you feel like the person running things doesn't seem to care or listen to anyone other than maybe their own executive group, or just making decisions themselves? So I always hope for the best, because Disney is plays such a major role in my life. But I want Disney to succeed, but I really hope Bob can turn things around, or something happens. But for right now, we'll just have to wait and see with him staring at me like that. It's very off-putting.
Also, trying to handle a lot of the decisions that were put into effect years ago by Bob Iger. They're now Chapek's responsibility, including all of the acquisitions and all of the things, all of the debt even that has been accumulated over the course of time by Bob Iger's massive purchases. And, Iger usually gets a pass on a lot of the things that he did to create additional challenges down the line, because short-term gain and at least the appearance of what Disney was going to just gain from it was always sort of looked at as like, oh, way to go, Iger. Oh my gosh, what a champion. And he's far more likable, right? He's far more engaging and soft-spoken, and you like the guy. You see him in interviews, he's incredibly charming. He's not a Michael Eisner where he was the face of everything, but when you did see him and when he did get out there in front of things, it felt like he did care. You saw him around cast members and you felt his heart.
You felt
don't
that
feel that
warming, and you felt that warming embrace where even if he did make a mistake, you're like, know what? There's probably a reason for that. While with Chapek, you don't feel any sort of remorse or, trying to redeem himself. It's more like, this was a business decision. This is how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting to hear that now not just your Disney parks demographic of cast members are frustrated. These are people that, by the way, whether or not they agreed with what's going on in Florida, cast members in general as a whole are just sort of irritated with Bob Chapek now, because he managed to, based on his inaction, the company's inaction as well as reaction, alienate everybody in the process. So both sides of the aisle, he ended up ticking off everyone. And then on top of all of it, I know that, less than a month ago, after only 3 months on the job, the head of corporate affairs for the Disney company, Geoff Morrell, who I think came from like the Pentagon, or I know he came from originally like big oil and stuff like that, but he served a lot with like he worked with the government so much, so they brought him into Disney. No doubt his resignation was because of the terrible miscalculation of what happened in Florida that led to just a dragging through the mug scenario, all that mud all over the face of Disney over the last few months, and only has now just started to quiet down. I think Disney just stopped talking about it, is what it seems like. They were like, just get us away from this. It's toxic. We're terrified. Like, we don't want that governor. We don't want anybody to say another word about us. Just don't even acknowledge them anymore. Just act like it's not there. And it seems to have done them a little bit of a favor in getting away from it now, because it was becoming Disney, I should say, was becoming a target of like Florida politicians. It was becoming like a fundraising issue even in DC. And I think Disney was like, we cannot remain in the spotlight all the time. We are damaging everything we've built. We have to do something. And so I think the solution was, all right, after making our statement, we've put it out there, it's public. Now we're going to shut up. And they went away. They got quiet again. So now they're not even talking about it anymore.
Like, all right, how do we quiet it? Put out 2 episodes of Obi-Wan and we're done. And you know what? It worked. They used a force, they used a Jedi mind trick, and it, for the most part, worked. Like, you still see some things, but it's not Disney bringing it up. This has been a very interesting time for the Walt Disney Company.
Pump the content.
Yeah. Pump out Miss Marvel. Pump out all this other stuff. Oh, and now go overboard on the promotion for the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction, Cosmic Rewind. Pump it out, pump it out, pump it out.
Pump it out, pump it out. Yeah. Distract. Yeah. Mike's Adventure says, I think everyone also forgets that new Bob has to figure out how to pay for the debt that old Bob created. Can new Bob do better? Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's something I was just mentioning, and maybe we were communicating it at the same time, I don't know, but Mike, definitely something I was mentioning. Huge aspect of what new Bob is definitely having to deal with, so I appreciate you bringing that up. I think Iger gets a pass far too often on because he was a nice guy and far more engaging. We kind of forget that he, as good as the business is, he did make some missteps here and there, and the debt certainly gets ignored because it looks like, we're set up for life, Disney, that is. We're set up for life, and we don't have to worry about IP forever because we've got IP gold mines for the rest of our lives. We've acquired basically every great story in existence right now, and, we're so lucky to have all of this, so I appreciate that, Mike. Richard says Bob Paycheck will make
Haha.
more unpopular decisions to increase earnings over guest and cast members. His replacement will make 1 or 2 changes, and everyone will say how great the new CEO in Disney is.
Well,
Yeah,
no, like when you compare the two, it's always easier to find the bad over the good.
sure.
It's like they got rid of Illumination. What did they put in their Epcot Forever? That flaming trash heap of a show. And now you look at Harmonious, like Harmonious isn't that bad. Like that's how it will be when it comes to Disney CEO ship. It's gonna happen
Ship.
the same exact way. Yeah, the CEO ship. I call it that.
I like that. That's my word. I always say CEO ship too. So we'll make it a show word. Judith says it doesn't matter how big the company is. Even supervisors, etc., in smaller companies are guilty of the same thing if they feel their job is threatened by a certain position. Oh yeah, you're not wrong. That's for sure.
I think that's called insecurity.
Yeah. That's yeah. I think you're right. Patty says, however, I like to know the inside business part. Thank you for your insight and knowledge. Absolutely, Patty. That's what we're here for. That trusted perspective. That's what we do. Yes. And we've got Trisha saying, no way Josh needs to take over. Chapek is awful. Talking about Josh tomorrow, the Disney Parks chairman, experiences, etc., etc. He's got a long title, but, interesting story. So that video we played just before we went to the full story of Bob Chapek at Disneyland during the Electrical Parade premiere for the cast members. It was shared with us that Bob had a huge entourage and was doing his very, I guess, sort of, calculated meet and greets because he wanted to make the biggest impact in front of the biggest crowd so that he didn't have to do very many. But Josh was by himself walking through the park, and people were lining up to take photos with him and calling out to him. And Josh tomorrow continues to be, I think he's playing it very well. He's certainly playing this game perfectly because I think he knows that, especially now with the axing of Peter Rice, who's next in line to take this CEO job, because that was who was in the bullpen, was Peter Rice. And so you don't hear many other names now as to who was waiting in the wings to take over, unless it was Peter Rice. And so now Josh tomorrow, who has had this sort of meteoric rise through the Parks division and became chairman far quicker than I anticipated him to even become chairman, is so loved by the consumer base, is so cherished, especially by the Parks division, even though all these terrible things, by the way, have happened under the Josh Tomorrow division, and all of these things that are souring people's flavor on the division have happened under his tenure. People tend to point to Chapek as the culprit rather than Tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think there's a lot to be said, because I think this ties into what we were saying about Iger too. A lot can be excused when you are halfway decent looking and you have a personality that's engaging, and you seem like a decent person. A lot can be excused. And I hate to say that, but it's like, we've done it with Iger, and we're clearly all, as a consumer base, doing it with Josh tomorrow, and placing the blame. Not to say that Bob Chapek is an ugly man or that has anything to do with it, but Josh tomorrow looks like a model. Bob Iger, stunningly handsome for his age. He's a very well put together guy, super fit, and both of them have sterling personalities.
Having charisma and personality is definitely something that can make up for your mistakes where, we had a huge blunder, but if they can talk their way out of it or show that charm, then you can work people over. And those soft skills, that interpersonal conversation ability, the ability to have that, that public look, definitely makes you more attractive to the masses, where people call Josh Daddy Tomorrow. They have no problem calling that. He's got the salt and pepper look, and he's got a charming smile. He looks approachable, while with Chapek, he doesn't look as approachable. He looks kind of cold, and many have said he doesn't have the emotional intelligence that many look for in a leader, where if you have emotional intelligence, you have charisma, you have just this engaging personality, a lot can be overlooked. And it's true even outside of the Disney. You look in normal situations, that's often a thing. But Josh is definitely looking like he's next up to bat. If something happens and he disappears, there will be full-on riots in the park. Even with that picture you have on screen, even if it's not an attractive picture, he looks more engaging than Bob does when he's smiling. And like, he's got the nice suit, he's got the clean cut hair. Yeah, that looks like he's gonna, have them fire the Death Star at Alderaan or something like that. Like,
he can't wait.
yeah, he's got the smile, but yeah, Josh just looks a little bit more approachable. Is it the hair? I don't know, but Josh definitely, Daddy Tomorrow just looks a little bit. He looks a little bit more fun to be around, even if he's making like he could, like light Main Street on fire, and you could honestly forgive him in a regard. Versus if Chapek brought like,
ridiculous.
We're gonna bring, pirates from Shanghai overseas, people would be like, that's a horrible idea. Why would you do that? I think they have an association now, and it's very hard to break away from that. Like once you hurt your image once, it's hard to repair that.
Don't disagree at all. And we recently asked over on our community page here on the Kingdom Report on YouTube a couple of questions regarding not just Chapek, but also how people feel regarding sort of the Disney company right now, especially by comparison of 2019. But let's start here. After firing Disney's head of entertainment content, Disney CEO Bob Chapek received a public statement from the Disney board of directors reaffirming their support of the chief executive. And we asked everybody, how do you feel Chapek is doing as CEO? Daniel says, in all honesty, I look at the situation with Bob Chapek like a coach on a losing football team. At the end of the season, they fire him. Looking at the stock price and, well, the whole political situation in Florida that, in my opinion, he totally mishandled, causing anger from the government and the employees. When the next earnings call comes out, he will have no way to explain away the failures that have stacked up under his reign as CEO. The board will fire him quicker than your Mickey ears can hit the ground. The way I see it, the board of directors are just giving him enough rope, and he's done. Very interesting. Dana says, Chapek, in my opinion, has ruined the Disney name and brand overall, starting with the Black Widow lawsuit and with Florida. Stay out of politics. Prices on things are just ridiculous. Bob Iger wouldn't have allowed any of this to have happened. Chapek needs to be fired sooner rather than later. Get Tom Staggs or Peter Rice in there as CEO. And then Mitchell says, I think Chapek is like the cancer that is multiplying and spreading pain, suffering, and misery all over the Walt Disney Company. Wow. That is some very passionate feelings there. My goodness.
Oh, absolutely. That's some very, very passionate language there. But Disney, the company of Disney, has been around for 100 years almost. And this is just one small part in the grand timeline of the company. So if you don't like Chapek, there's a good chance he will not be there for a percentage of it, or a high percentage. Like, Walt is ever eternal Roy, absolutely. Eisner and Iger, absolutely. Chapek will, if you don't like him, he will seem like a little smudge on, the entire timeline. So we'll just keep on trudging along on our Steamboat Willie, and we'll see where it goes.
Frontierland Frank saying he seems like an absolute joke of a leader. I know that Victoria here saying about to apply to work at Disneyland right now. Hope you can be a great Jungle Cruise skipper. Love
Absolutely.
Those puns. Absolutely, yes. And Trisha says, great show today. Bye, Bob.
Okay.
Lori Jean saying, Bob Chapek is a great CEO. Oh, I sense all of that sarcasm. Yes,
I got a hint of it.
I got a hint of it also. Other comments that we got from you on our community page regarding how you feel Chapek is doing right now. D. McGee says reaffirming their support for Bob Chapek is doubling down on their profit over guest experience mentality. Talking about the board, of course, their attitude won't change until it hits them in the earnings report. OD, I think you are so right. Lone Knight says it really doesn't matter. For all of the whining and crying, people are still buying extras like Genie Plus and still supporting the brand. It has to be more than just dips in shares. It has to be no one showing up to the parks. I think in line with what Dee is saying there. Mm-hmm. Kathy says there is no guest experience or concern for the guest and their time in the parks. Chapek is concerned only in the bottom line, and that's money. Chapek sucks, and I'll be glad when he's gone. Pulling no punches there, Kathy is. And Andrew says, the way I see, and this is me being idealistic, to step into Walt Disney's shoes, rather, is a massive job. the job that would be crushing to most people. People like Walt Disney, Gene Roddenberry, Stan Lee, Bob Iger, and Steve Jobs don't come along very often, and to come after them is an impossible job, not to mention in a political climate like we are in now. No matter what you do is either not enough or wrong altogether. Well, I'll say to a certain degree, maybe we got lightning in a bottle twice. We had Michael Eisner when Frank Wells was alive, at least.
Yeah.
Was the spear of magic and made Disney a household name again. And then we had Bob Iger follow up just beyond him and became the IP collecting juggernaut and acquired Pixar and Lucasfilm and Marvel and everything during that time. Fox came along. Maybe Disney got fortunate to a certain degree to have two back-to-back CEOs. That, of course, we always talk about how Eisner towards the end cratered and destroyed a lot of goodwill and
almost
ruined
our relationship with them and Pixar.
And ruined so much, right?
Yeah,
it got real bad. And then we have a poll that we took too. Is your view of the Walt Disney Company more or less favorable today than it was in 2019?
Not surprising.
81% of our audience said less favorable today than 2019. 6% more favorable. 13% saying about the same. You say not surprising.
Yeah, I'm not shocked that it's less favorable. I'm probably in that bubble where, like, if I compare 2019, even right before the pandemic, even in 2020, I would have been like, no, I like it. But now it's just, at least the parks division has changed dramatically. Studio wise, they're putting out gold. The Disney Plus content is phenomenal. But when you're looking at parks and how Disney is relating to consumers, it's not looking that good. And it starts at the top and works its way down. And yeah, right now the Disney parks don't seem like a very fun place. When going there, it's more nostalgic than living in reality and be like, man, this is such a great day. It's more like, man, I remember when we used to have paper passes. Those were the good times. Those were the easy times. Now it's like, what is Genie Plus? And then it's like Lightning Lane. It's like, I don't know what that is. Is that the same as, like the fast passes and they have at Six Flags with Flash on it or whatever? And
yeah.
Yeah.
We've come so far, and yet we've taken so many steps back. We also have here some comments from folks that came from underneath that poll asking, is your view of the Walt Disney Company more or less favorable today than it was in 2019? T-Peg says, my viewpoint of being less favorable has nothing to do with the social justice issues and everything to do with the price gouging dilution of the theme with Epcot and the disaster that is Genie Plus Lightning Lanes. I think a lot of people will side with that one. I am for Mark says prices, lightning lanes, wait times, getting rid of Epcot's original theme are all problems in my opinion. I don't have a problem with Disney being inclusive and socially aware, but the way they've done it seems cheap and not genuine. I wish Disney would experiment more with their art and the parks. Joseph says, they've saved me a lot of money in the last few years. I used to love going to the parks at least once a year for almost 40 years, and now I don't even care. I haven't been since 2019 and have no future visits planned, but I did go to Universal last year, and it was great. From Jeanette's view, she says, to be fair, I think many businesses have gone downhill since the pandemic. Things are different and not in a good way. Steven says, I am sure glad I don't have any Disney stock right now. And that's a wrap. 818 says, Disney, listen to the people. Yeah, a lot of unfavorable opinions when it comes to the company of today versus the company of 2019. That's for sure. And we want to thank you all for weighing in over on the community page over at the Kingdom Report. Switching gears here, Victoria says, is there any news on Magic Keys? Disney has been way too vague on the program, and it's been difficult to understand why they suspended sales for it. Victoria, we do have a whole video on this here on Kingdom Report YouTube channel. It came out this week where the whole team discussed this news and sort of where we think the program might be going. Disney's being intentionally vague about the issue at the Disneyland Resort. Everyone is wondering what the heck is going to happen next. There's a screenshot floating around out there regarding Magic Key pass holders becoming legacy discount holders once again. You might recall that terminology used way back when during the retirement of the last annual pass holder group. They gave you a legacy discount. The legacy pass holders, what they called all of us that had annual passes, and we were able to still use our discounts out and about at the resort until the Magic Key program came along, and then we were told, hey, you're a Magic Key holder, congratulations, and now you've got your Magic Key discount. So there's a screenshot floating around out there, but we talked about in our sort of long form segment that it seems like Disney doesn't even know what they want to do. They seem very confused. They're making this convoluted and very difficult for everyone that just wants to know, do I have a pass renewal coming up or what? Disney has confirmed at least that you will be able to renew your passes. However, at what price, however, at what new restrictions, however, at whether or not there's even going to be new Magic Keys made available for people that don't have them. That is all up in the air. They have not been clear about that at all. If they are sunsetting the Magic Keys after only 1 year, that is going to be wild. But Disneyland goes through a lot more than Disney World does when it comes to that annual pass holder base, Garrett.
Yeah, it does. Walt Disney World has a very small group of annual pass holders because, like, there are a good bunch, but nothing compared to Disneyland, where you have 6 million people easily within a couple hour drive of Disneyland that can just pop in, pop out. And not as much money is made when you have annual pass holders because they can pop in, like what I do at Disney World, and leave and not buy a single thing, like because I have food at home. There's more money to be made in single use passes or multi-day passes.
You're the problem.
Yeah. Me as a pass holder is the problem. I will fall on my sword if it means that peace and order can be restored to the galaxy.
Lori Jean says, what about Magic Bands? Lori Jean, I'll tell you, the Magic Band Plus that is said to be coming to Disneyland, they said before the end of the year. So perhaps they are waiting for, D23 is coming up here at the other end of summer. Maybe they're waiting to launch it then. I don't know. They've been very quiet about that issue too. I didn't anticipate that we would be almost to July, before we've heard anything new about it. Nothing coming at any point, just that before the end of the year is all they're saying. So looking forward to finally having those Magic Bands on the West Coast. So it's just a matter of time. They are on their way, and crossing our fingers that they work out as well here as they have out at Walt Disney World. And Garrett, when we get back, we are going to chat about a little incident that happened in Disneyland Paris this past week. Yeah, I know you're a guy that speaks a little French, right?
Je parle petit français. Just a little.
Oh my. Wow. Stunning. I'm in awe of you every time you're able to do that.
Oh, merci beaucoup, monsieur.
Wow. Our little Frenchie. That's our Garrett.
Absolutely.
There he goes.
The golden goose.
An incident happened this past week that sent the world, at least on social media, on fire. Fired all kinds of people up regarding what occurred at Disneyland Paris. It was captured on video. We're going to play that for you here right after the break. Stick around.
Wanna see it? Go in!
Holy smokes, Roger! We've been there! The dip, boys. Well done.
Hey! Let go of me, idiot!
Disney News Talk Live. Of course, we all miss it. Of course, we're disappointed without it. Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin over in Toontown. Naturally, the land itself under wraps right now, going through a major overhaul, all to bring about the Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway attraction to Toontown in 2023 with a refresh look. You going to be out here for that, Garrett?
I will come out, and I'm gonna, I haven't been to Toontown in a while, and there is not one that exists at Walt Disney World. So I think I will come out for that and hang out. And seeing that video brought back so many memories. I miss Roger Rabbit. Toontown is such a whimsical area, and there's so much to do and so much to see. It's just a fun place to be in, but it closes so early because of fireworks. So I want to go back now more than ever.
Even after we threw a jacket on Jessica Rabbit and said she's a detective all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I love the frustration Katrina has over that. She absolutely hates it and just it drives her nuts. She's like, what was the point? She's this strong woman throughout the entire, ride and attraction and everything. And, she gets the upper hand in the end. So what are we doing? Why are we, making her this? Why are we changing the story and making her the detective all of a sudden? And
she's
I thought we had a detective.
yeah. Eddie Vance, he was the detective. And I also miss, the old school Pirates where the redhead was the one being auctioned off, not the one trying to sell rum. Like, come on, I miss the original, PG-13 story.
Come on, people.
I know.
Come on. Well, we have some unfortunate footage to share with all of you. If you have been on social media this past week, you likely saw it if you're a Disney fan. Very disappointing, to say the least. But, Garrett, I'll let you be the judge of what you think, of course. Here's what happened at Disneyland Paris this past week.
Yes, that's great. It's over here. She's going to be even better.
That is absolutely heartbreaking, and I'm a little disgusted by it. I've heard the whole story of how the fiance, the would-be groom, asked the cast member for approval, got it, and that was never communicated around. And as a cast member, your job is about making magic. Even if they're not supposed to be up there, like, I would have at least let them have a moment before you pretty much take the ring and the box out of their hands and, escort them down, and doesn't even give them an explanation. Like, it's going to be better over here. It's messed up, because that communication should have been spread around. And that cast member came out of nowhere. It's like he dropped out of the sky. And, let them have that moment. Let them have that celebration, because you can only get this proposal once. You only get to propose to your life partner once. And that moment is now bittersweet, because it's like, oh, I got proposed, but I had it ruined by some dude that, like, couldn't give me 30 seconds up there. But it's heartbreaking to see for me. Like, if I was in the cast member position, I would have let it happen and then be like, hey guys, could you please go this way? You're not supposed to be on stage. And then, I know Disney apologized, but you can't take back those moments. And it's just a darn shame. It really is.
Let's take a look at that footage one more time for the people in the back.
Yes, that's great. It's over here. She's going to be even better.
Want to punch that cast member in the face.
That was going to be our question. What would your reaction have been to the Disneyland Paris cast member? What would you have done? Well, I guess we know what Garrett would have done.
Violence is never the answer, but that's the reaction I have in my stomach. I get so mad because the cast member completely disregarded the guest, and you're taught in, like, when you go through traditions and everything, through training, like, try and do everything you can to make that experience memorable as long as it does not endanger the safety of the guest and others. And I get he's trying to do his job, but you could have given them 30 seconds, man, and didn't even listen. And then where's the manager? They've been like, no, Francois, they had permission, but I had to come up with something. I didn't want to give him a great name like Lumiere. It's just that I don't like that
Cogsworth.
guy. Yeah, no. Even Cogsworth is more understanding than that. It's heartbreaking. Man, oh man.
Hard to see for sure. So let us know in live chat if you're with us, or if you happen to be watching on demand. Share with us in the comment section what would have been your reaction to the Disneyland Paris cast member that did that. We'd be very interested to know how your gut reaction might play out. Definitely, and I'll tell you that people wrote that the couple's story went viral in June, obviously after their footage of the incident filmed by a bystander was shared on social media. In the clip, that Disneyland Paris employee is seen hastily escorting the couple off stage mid-proposal after appearing to take the ring from a man on bended knee and gesturing to the pair to leave the stage located in front of Sleeping Beauty's castle. As the man obeys orders, he tells the employee that his now fiancée said yes to his proposal. The employee responds, "Yes, that's great, but over here, it's going to be even better." In a statement to the New York Times, Disney said they apologized for the incident and want to make things right with the couple involved. Saying, quote, "We have offered our sincere apologies to the couple concerned, and we will do everything we can to make this up to them." Disney did not immediately respond to People's request for comment, but in a phone interview with the Times on Monday, the 31-year-old auntie of Germany, that is the man who would go on to become the groom in this situation, confirmed that Disney has offered him and his fiancée a free weekend at Disneyland Park and Hotel of their choice. At a Disneyland Park and Hotel of their choice, rather. However, he doesn't plan to accept, saying, "I don't want to visit Disneyland anymore. They can't give us the moment back, and that's the only thing I want, to get a second chance." He also went on to say that it completely destroyed the magic. He said, "Disneyland stands for dreams. Our moment was destroyed." How devastating to know that this really, and I have to tell you, by the way, I've seen cast members act like this domestically too, here on the West Coast and on the East Coast. I've seen this uppity, I'm in charge, I'm in control attitude from cast members. Even cast members I was once a leader of in the resort. I saw this attitude, and you can bet I made sure to discipline that attitude right out of them. Oh, yeah. Because this is something, and I hired people for years to come to work at Disney. And I would put them in scenarios very similar to this, even. And I would ask, walk me through what you would do in this situation. And I would say something to the effect of, like you have a group of people who just showed up on Main Street. The parade is coming down the street, and they show up and stand right in front of a group of people who've been waiting for 3 hours. Tell me, what's the first thing you might say to them upon approach? And that would tell me a lot about a person's understanding of customer service, understanding of the circumstances, the situation, the Disney way. It would give me a great gauge as to what they were thinking and exactly how they would handle potential conflict while still managing to provide that world-class guest service, right? This attitude, this snootiness that just exudes out of this cast member, and you can see it on camera. Then that high-pitched response of, "I'm being magical, okay?" It's like when, and I've heard it from cast members too, when they're dealing with somebody they don't necessarily want to deal with or they don't like, and is maybe being a jerk to them. And by the way, this couple not being a jerk in this situation. No. In fact, the gentleman here seems very accused, and he's like, "Well, she said yes." Yeah. And he's like, "That's great, but it'll be even better over here." And like doing that high inflection, like doesn't take it away that you're being an a-hole. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's the inflection that I often hear when a cast member is getting yelled at, and they respond with, "Have a magical day." It's one of those situations where, and if they're getting yelled at, I understand the reaction. But this guy ruined a moment that was meant to live on in not just the video forever as something special, but in their hearts that was supposed to be something special. And now they're walking away with this terrible taste in their mouth, not just about Disney, but also that they're never going to get this option back. They're never going to get this opportunity back to be able to experience this again.
No, and on top of that, like in order to get up on that stage, it probably took them a good 30 seconds to a minute. And then that cast member, like someone would have seen them. And there's, even though it's Disneyland Paris, it's not as like, there's not as many cast members around. I'm sure someone noticed and was like, okay, I'm sure someone had the message, someone didn't, but that guy probably sprinted over there just to ruin the moment. I don't know, but
so frustrating.
It is. They should have let it happen. And I feel so bad for the guy because he set up this magical moment, and then it now gets stripped away from him and his now wife, or will be wife.
Yeah, soon to be. And, like I mentioned, obviously Disney tried to correct things and make it better and attempted to apologize and, attempted to do what they could basically to try and correct the situation because they were kind of mortified themselves. But, the damage has been done. Like I said, this went viral and now everybody sees it. And I don't know if this cast member works for them anymore or not, but boy, is this a hard thing to watch because they certainly didn't deserve it. And that's not like, there's a trap door on that stage. It's not like, it's
fireworks.
Yeah. There's nothing critical. You mentioned safety here a few minutes ago. Like, okay, if they're not in a situation where they're endangering people or themselves, what is the big deal if you just step off to the side and go, all right, I'll let this happen. And then I'll let them know, hey, why don't you join me down here? We can celebrate and, I'll take you to go do something special. There was a far better way to handle this.
Oh yeah. This was the worst form of PR you could possibly do, or guest relations in that way, where like, just ruined it. You can wait 30 seconds, let them have their hug and kiss. They're not going to set up a picnic and, have a party up there. Like,
so disappointing.
It's heart-wrenching.
It is. Yeah. I can only imagine losing that moment. And Trisha says that was so wrong. Yep, that's for sure. Very disappointing to say the least. Mike says, I believe there was miscommunication between cast members. From my understanding, Disneyland Paris has to deal rather with people going where they aren't supposed to all the time. And yeah, that's perfectly fine. No problem there. But that, number one, to remove somebody's personal possession from them as a cast member in any situation. What are you doing?
Yeah, you don't, especially something that costs thousands of dollars, possibly. You don't take a ring out of someone's hand and like walk it away. Like I would, like that's someone's about to do have some fists going into their face if they're taking like an engagement ring you just spend a good portion of your money on. It gets me frustrated.
I can tell. Yeah, you're all fired up. Yeah, I mean, and going to one knee is pretty universal language no matter where you are for, I'm proposing right now. I'm not going to allow a cast member to run up and grab my ring. Like, that's insane. Oh my gosh. And then Anne says, I saw someone on a Paris page say that the stage had live fireworks on it ready for a show, so it was a safety issue. Entirely possible. I hadn't seen that anywhere. I definitely went looking to figure out if that was the case. Seemed like a pretty low to the ground stage. It almost looked like a platform for like characters to go up and pose. Again, I could be wrong here, but that was something that didn't look like it had any pyro ready around it from any vantage point we could see. So just wild that he would run over and steal a ring from the hand, though. That's nuts. Very rude indeed, Lori Jean. Very rude. My goodness.
How wooed.
All right. How wooed, yes. All right, we move along now. Garrett, would you consider yourself to be a Disney adult?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think so? Is that derogatory in your mind to say Disney adult?
To me, no. Like I call it as I see it. Like I know I'm a Disney adult. I don't find it to be rude. Like it's not like I don't feel entitled or anything. It's a title to have. It's a
title to have.
I'm a Disney adult, and that's all there is to it. No, I'm not going to get angry over those words. I don't see any meanness or rudeness in that term, but some people may.
Well, would you say use money that you were going to spend, since we're in this getting engaged and sort of wedding mode right now, would you say that you might take money that was meant for food at your wedding reception and instead spend it on something Disney related for the sake of photos? Would you think that would be something you would do as a Disney adult?
Myself, no, because I'm all for a great picture, but at a wedding, there are certain things that are expected, such as food and food or photo over food. I don't think that's the most appropriate use of funds, especially at a Disney wedding. But I could be wrong in that case.
All right. So now we have your opinion. That happened. And two self-described Disney adults definitely were dragged through the mud for that very decision online recently, especially via Reddit. And we're going to dive into that story here right after this break. Remember those carefree days of childhood where the magic still existed? When you didn't feel guilty about eating mountains of cereal with, we'll just say, questionable nutrition? Well, now you can have your cereal and you can eat it too. Because Magic Spoon has re-engineered that same great taste with grown-up ingredients for an absolutely game-changing Cereal 2.0. I adore cereal. I treasure cereal. It's one of my favorite things to eat, but I just can't justify eating mounds of sugar in every bowl. I don't need to worry about that with Magic Spoon, because it's high protein, low carb, and 0 grams of sugar in each serving. I know, it's hard to believe, but it also comes in 6 delicious flavors: frosted, fruity, cocoa, cinnamon, blueberry, and peanut butter. Plus, they've got limited edition flavors released throughout the year, like gingerbread or peaches and cream. So taste that magic of childhood all over again and get yourself some Magic Spoon cereal. Plus, take $5 off your order at checkout. All you got to do is insert the promo code Kingdom Team. That's right. Kingdom Team at checkout will get you $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com. That's magicspoon.com. Promo code Kingdom Team. The following comes courtesy of NBC News. They write, "We need to talk about Disney adults, but not for the reasons you might think. Disney adults, grown-ups who enjoy Disney parks and films without children, are a frequent and predictable target on social media. Most recently, Twitter erupted because a Reddit poster shared that she and her spouse hadn't provided food for their wedding guests, so they could afford to have Mickey and Minnie present for their photos. The outrage over this decision quickly spiraled into hatred for Disney adults more generally. The bride had defended the decision by saying Disney was an important part of not only their life, but also our marriage. Many critics thought this was crazy, and definitely not a good thing, saying, quote, "Disney adults will cause the downfall of this nation. Mark my words," wrote one disparager. To be clear, the original poster and her husband were supremely inhospitable to their guests. It was no Game of Thrones red wedding. It was nonetheless a serious betrayal of the guest-host relationship. The character's appearance cost over $5,000 that was originally intended for the catering budget. $5,000 doesn't buy much at Disney, but it would certainly buy a lot of Dole Whip. But calling this couple insane overlooks a world of profound practices that happen at Disney. Since 2019, I've been researching how the Walt Disney Company intersects with religion. What qualifies as a religion tends to be in the eye of the beholder, but Disney is most certainly religion adjacent. The opening day consecration of Disneyland in 1955 reflected a tri-faith America, with its Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish chaplains, albeit mostly Protestant, as only the chaplain spoke. Ever since, many people have referred to their Disney trips as a pilgrimage. Once there, thousands participate in rituals like wedding proposals, birthday celebrations, and pregnancy announcements. The Disney fans I've observed in the parks and online find immense meaning there. People don't just celebrate at Disney, they mourn the loss of relatives at Disneyland. They go to Disney World to mark surviving cancer. They go there for one last trip before they die. For some people, both those who have another traditional religion and those who don't, the promise of magic at Disney and the feelings they get there are powerful. I've seen people cry at the fireworks many times. Obviously, not everyone wants to go there to experience these big life cycle events, but as long as they aren't starving their wedding guests, what harm are Disney adults doing? And for the record, in studying Disney adults, I have not come across evidence that they routinely stiff their guests more than other people. Yet the Reddit post, even if it was fake, as some have speculated, led to viral vitriol directed at Disney adults as a whole that reveals our discomfort with joy, play, and schmaltzy sentiment, especially those that are associated with women and children. If we want to have empathy for other humans, or at least reserve judgment until we know more, we should strive to understand what makes them tick. Whether it's a theme park, a church, or a bit of both, that's why scholars of religion have been taking Disney seriously since the early 1980s. Religion, after all, isn't just about belief, it's about a network of relationships between heaven and earth, involving people of all ages as well as the different sacred figures they hold dear, according to religious studies scholar Robert Orsai. Religions are practices in which people intensify joy and confront suffering. That happens in Disney parks and on the TV screens of Disney fans every day all over the world. When I argued this point on Twitter, there was a mountain of backlash. One common criticism was that perhaps I was right. Disney is a religion, or near to one, and that's bad, either because corporations are exploitive or because if something is tainted by commerce, it's not a real religion. Yes, Disney's immense cultural power is an example of capitalism on steroids, and the company's track record has some problems. But it is also a storytelling company, which is why people invest so much in its worlds. One of the reasons religions are powerful is because people tell these stories over and over across generations. Even people who don't believe in the literal truth of the Bible often find great emotional resonance in stories of Exodus and liberation, for instance. Just because Disney fan practices are deeply capitalistic does not mean that they aren't also deeply meaningful, and at times, spiritual. That Disney's creative works have made money doesn't prevent fans from being genuinely moved by, quote, "when you wish upon a star," or crying when the family comes together at the end of Encanto. The corporation has also been considered as an organization through which people forge their identities, one that can be understood using the intellectual toolkit of religious studies, and Disney, whose training course for new employees is called Traditions and revolves around 4 keys as a rich example. It's like the 5 pillars of Islam or the Buddhist 4 noble truths, but for a company. The criticism of Disney adults doesn't only stem from their heartfelt devotion to a mega corporation. Disney is dismissed because its fandom is often gendered as female or effeminate, or caricatured as obsessive, limited, and perversely childlike. Disney adults are mocked as overgrown children or being overly emotional women. Think pieces on Disney adults also frequently focus on women. Check out the website Etsy, where a woman's Disney-themed shirt says, "Best day ever," while the man's says, "Most expensive day ever," implying that the man is footing the bill for female obsession. Does religion or fan adoration excuse bad behavior? No. I'm glad I wasn't at that wedding, but I want to understand it and other weddings like it, and why people, including many women, love Disney so much that they build their lives around it. So, criticize people for not feeding their guests by all means. No one would have complained about Mickey and Minnie if they also got a churro. But the next time you hate on Disney adults, think twice about the source of that hatred. Once again, our thanks to NBC News and Professor Jody Levine for this analysis and opinion on Disney adults. What do you think, Garrett? Disney match up with a religion? That was some pretty interesting analysis there.
Yeah. When I heard, Judaism, I was like, that's a bit of a stretch, I think. Like, I wouldn't consider a Disney adult something related to something as serious as religion. I think of it like a Disney adult is something you can do on a weekend, while, if you're a religious person, that's something kind of try and practice in your everyday life. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, they have fast passes still available for, like, I'm not walking down the street or to my job and being like, oh my gosh, guys, they still have boarding groups available for Cosmic Rewind. No, it's something, it's like a switch that you can flip on and off. I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Praise Walt.
Yeah. I do not worship the altar of Walt Disney. I don't even have one. I have one of Bob Iger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, the wedding scenario, I don't think it was necessarily the best idea to forego food for a photo op with Mickey and Minnie. Granted, I know it's your wedding day and it should be about you, but you have to sometimes consider the needs of the guests, those that are sharing in this magical day of yours. But that's just bad money allocation right there, bad money management.
Got to manage that money better. Yeah, Diane says, as a Disney adult, I've celebrated many things at the parks with my spouse and family. The memories are priceless. Mm-hmm. And says, it's the same fan love that football fans display. Some of them appear crazy to me, but they aren't hurting anyone, and they are in a social group, creating meaningful moments in their lives.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's like pro wrestling fans to a certain degree too. It's almost religious to them. They completely bow at the altar of Vince McMahon.
Yes, who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Absolutely. Love that. Yeah, there's I think when it comes to the Disney adult stigma, now granted, you better have shared with your guests coming to the wedding that you weren't going to feed them by invitation, in which case, it's a little cheap of you, I suppose. It's kind of customary that's what would be happening, especially you're buying a gift and you're going to great lengths to travel to be there and making sure that they have the support that they need. But yeah, to have Mickey and Minnie there and not feed your guests, that is kind of shiesty, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a huge wedding faux pas, to put it very gently. But yeah, that's cheap. It's a cheap move. Be like, yeah, guys, you don't get to eat anything. There's actually a vending machine nearby, but we've got a photo op for 30 minutes. How about that? How much it cost?
At least we got Mickey and Minnie.
5 G's, baby. 5 G's.
5 G's.
That could have been a 2-week Disney cruise, but no. We got a picture.
Did Mickey and Minnie come to your wedding? I think not.
Yeah, that's suburbia, like, dominance right there. If you're living in a suburban area or the suburbs, you're like, Mickey and Minnie were at my wedding. Who was that yours? Oh, your uncle? That's fantastic. We didn't have to.
Let me flex on you a little bit.
Absolutely.
Switching gears here, Javier says, I have another question in Tomorrowland. A new Tron Light Cycle run ride are finally coming to Magic Kingdom. Yes, eventually. Don't worry. It's on its way. They're putting some finishing touches on it now. When? I think we're going to hear the official opening date probably at D23 at the other end of summer, if not earlier in summer. I think they are getting ready to announce it. I have never seen a roller coaster take as long to build as the Tron Light Cycle run at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, well, granted, they had to fill a lake that used to be back there, and they also had to reroute a train track, but it's taken an absurd amount of time. Like, I'm sure they built Shanghai Disneyland faster than it did to build this attraction. But know what? I've loved Tron since I saw the original one, and I am overjoyed that this is coming. I think it's a much needed addition, and hopefully it can revamp the entire look of Tomorrowland, because that thing is ugly.
Anytime you can add more capacity to that park too, you absolutely need more rides to gobble up the people. And it's always funny, people sort of assume that because Magic Kingdom is just wider and you have a lot more space to walk around in, that there is somehow this miracle that it's bigger than Disneyland by ride capacity, and that's not the case. In fact,
No.
Disneyland has far more rides than the Magic Kingdom does, and that's crazy when you think about it, because Magic Kingdom is the most attended theme park in the history of mankind. You'd think they'd keep on building some mega attractions to gobble up all the extra people, so finally we get another one.
Yeah, no, at Magic Kingdom, they have a ton more quick service and like it's Disneyland has a lot more to offer. Magic Kingdom is just the name when it comes to theme parks, and yeah, there's not much to do. It's not even that much bigger. I don't know why. That I hadn't really thought of it that deeply before, but yeah, Disneyland has a lot more to offer. Magic Kingdom just has the Walt Disney World name behind it that makes it seem that much more incredible.
Think of it deeply from now on, Garrett. Come on.
I shall. It's something that's philosophical now in my life.
Got to get deep on these things. I need you to think philosophically for me now regarding this. So,
okay.
Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser
Mm-hmm.
opened here just a few months ago.
Yes, it did.
In Walt Disney World, right outside the back door of Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
That super immersive, over-the-top themed hotel property, right?
Yes, indeed.
It opened to a lot of fanfare. Everybody was freaking out, excited, because you're basically in a Star Wars movie, round-the-clock entertainment. Everybody interacts with you like you're really on board the ship, and what you do sort of pushes the story forward while you're on board for the 2 days that you're there.
Yeah.
Would you guess that the Galactic Star Cruiser, at this point, 3 months later, right, here we are, moving into summertime, would you guess that it is successful or not successful?
Well, based off around all of, like the promotion that he's had, I would guess that it's successful. Am I right?
You are. It's not a flop. In fact, even though the buzz around the Galactic Star Cruiser went away, because I feel like we don't hear anything about it anymore for the
I don't see,
PR push.
Yeah, I don't see anything on my social media where it's like, oh, check out, we just spent a weekend here. I don't see any of that like I did when it first came out.
Pretty surprising that the fanfare has faded, and yet they seem to be on track to keep their occupancy at 100% through the peak of summer. In fact, we've got that story for you right now. The Motley Fool writes the following, saying, if Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is a flop, you may have to wonder why it's sold out through the end of the peak summer travel season. If the facts don't play out for the populist headline you crave, you can always use the Force, Luke. A story was trending on the socials on Thursday night, claiming that Walt Disney World's priciest lodging experience is a flop. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser opened a little more than 3 months ago, charging at least $4,089 for a 2-night stay for a party of 2. It's a lot of money to pay for less than 48 hours of immersive make-believe, and the stiff price tag doesn't make it accessible to the masses. Most people probably want the Star Wars-themed experience to fail, and any sign of the concept's weakness is clickbait gold. However, before doing a victory lap, we may want to nip that in the bud. Galactic Star Cruiser isn't a failure. At least, not yet. Let's start with the origin story of the chatter. Disney has been surveying guests who paid up to take the simulated voyages. They're also inviting some of them to be a part of a virtual focus group that will take place later this month. The original reports of the surveys and focus groups on popular blogs for Disney enthusiasts didn't portray any of this as unusual. It's not unusual. Theme park companies are always hungry for feedback. I've received emails, he writes, for online surveys after visits to Disney World and Comcast's Universal Orlando in recent months, and neither company is hurting for business. They're both reporting record revenue and operating profits for their theme park segment, despite turnstile clicks from international visitors clocking in well below pre-pandemic levels. Consumers are paying up for their theme park getaways. Per capita guest spending at Disney World is up 40% from where it was in 2019, and it has a park reservation system in place to keep crowd levels in check. It also has suspended most of its annual pass sales for new accounts. Comcast Resort isn't requiring advance reservations, but it just increased its annual pass prices by 6% to 8% last week after an 11% to 15% hike just 4 months ago. Desperate companies don't increase prices and announce record financial results. These garden variety theme park surveys don't typically lead to paid focus groups, but it's important for Disney to know what its first 3 months of space travelers feel at a deeper level for a brand new premium priced experience. Those who participate in the 90-minute session reportedly get a $175 Disney gift card as compensation, roughly what they paid per room earlier this year for 90 minutes on the Galactic Star Cruiser. This is an experience catering to affluent Star Wars fans, and time is money on both ends. The early reports weren't surprised by the surveys or the focus groups. They know theme parks are perpetually taking the pulse of their visitors. The original report made waves because the survey came from Disneyland, not Disney World. The speculation was the experience is going so well that Disney was going to expand the concept to the original resort on the West Coast. It was ultimately clarified that this is not the case, and the research is solely for the existing Galactic Star Cruiser in Florida. How did a marginally positive story take a decisively negative turn by the time non-Disney sources hopped on the non-event? Human nature. Publications know that most of their readers will never justify spending that much for a live-action role-playing game. A lot of people want experiences for the well-to-do to fail. There's also a conservative chunk of the population that resents Disney World for taking a, quote, woke political stance in Florida. It doesn't matter that reality paints a different picture. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is an exclusive experience. The interactive 2-night journey has only 100 available rooms that it has to fill every other night. On a resort with more than 36,000 rooms, we're talking about less than 0.3% of the on-site overnight guest capacity. It can't serve everybody. The experience-bashing Fatherly article claims that no one wants to book a stay, but look it up. As of Friday morning, the next 2 months are fully booked. The next available is for August 16th, and pricing hasn't budged since the maiden voyage in March. It's too early to call Galactic Star Cruiser a long-term success. Disney will need to differentiate the experience over time to encourage return visits from its adopters. It may have to mix things up to keep them fresh, just as the cruise line stocks do, with different Star Wars themes and different itinerary lengths. However, right now, the bar-raising interactive experience isn't a flop. It's just an easy target for critics with aim as bad as that of stormtroopers. Once again, our many thanks for those words coming to us courtesy of the Motley Fool. Garrett, not a flop after all. Garrett, I can't believe it.
Yeah, not a flop after all. Yeah, it's still it's a flop in the grand scheme of things. In my opinion, like financially, every room being sold out is fantastic and great. But when the idea of Galaxy's Edge came about, it was like, oh, you're going to be able to go to this world called Batu, and you're going to see this immersive interaction where you're going to have characters and villains and all these creatures coming and interacting with you. That sounds like what got put into a hotel at a $5,000 price tag. So it's financially sound and financially not a flop, but I think for a Disney Parks fan, it is, in that we were told and sort of pretty much promised this experience that you now have to pay for will be in the parks, and it's not. And it's nice to see that they are adding some elements, such as adding Boba Fett and Fennec Shand into the parks. But it's I would experience this, but the price tag is just so hard to swallow. And give it, I don't know, give it a year, and we'll see if this still holds up. And if it does, then know what, I will eat my words. But I still am not a biggest fan of this experience, even though it's technically not a flop in the eyes of the accountants.
You took the words right out of my mouth when you said, let's see what this is like in a year. I think the short-term momentum is there just out of initial curiosity, perhaps,
Mhm.
but this price tag is very hefty and
Yeah.
is one of those things where I'm just like, man, even with 100 rooms, you still are requesting an awful lot of people that after you do it once, it's kind of a one and done. Now, we did
Yeah.
hear from Sabina Graves, who is a big friend of the channel and oftentimes will sit in with us at Kingdom Report live in the studio. She's somebody that is a film and theme park journalist and even got an exclusive, brought it to us here about a month ago, where she was talking to Imagineers that were responsible for the Galactic Star Cruiser. And they admitted to her that the intention down the line, I think, to try and I guess avoid, that initial burnout of people going, well, I've already done it. It's kind of, I get the
Yeah.
shtick. I understand, is to try and alter the storyline, basically, of the Star Cruiser seasonally.
Yeah.
In order to make it much more of an attractive offer for people. So that was fascinating to hear and might just be what keeps people coming back, kind of like the cruise lines do.
Yeah, if you change the narrative and add new story elements, I could see the rewritability, as you often put for the attractions, doing this experience again. Um, but if they don't add that and it's just the same old for countless years, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to make more revenue by having this experience. Like, you can go to Magic Kingdom in the fall, but you want to go for the Halloween element of it. That's why you change things up. If you keep it, the same old, not much changes. So I hope they change it. I would love it if they did like a throwback to the original trilogy where you have Darth Vader and real stormtroopers. Like, I'm sure it's just some cosmetic, and I'm sure it's a lot more than that. But if they did it where like some weeks are going to be the original, the prequel, or whatever, I think that would get a lot more hype around it. But it's not something I'm gonna do. If I have a free $5,000, I'd rather use that on a trip to Tokyo Disney or Shanghai, or even going on a cruise for weeks on end.
Exactly. Yeah. Spend
Yeah.
weeks doing these things rather than 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard sell for me. I think about the price tag and I'm just like, God, and I'm not a Star Wars fan, so there's no appeal. I just like, I can't imagine going. And I remember reading shortly after it got reviewed, basically, during the media weekend, from folks that weren't necessarily Star Wars fans that said, yeah, you could totally get into this. It's a lot of fun. But I'm like, yeah, but why would I spend that type of money on something that I'm not exactly passionate about when I
Yeah.
can go and experience the things that I know are going to be there on a Disney Cruise Line, I know are going to be there at Tokyo Disneyland, that sort of a thing, and be able to
Yeah.
spend even more time.
Yeah, this is for the Star Wars diehard. Which, Wade, you've never hidden the fact that you're not like a Disney, you're not a Star Wars nerd like say I am, where I know like the race of an alien or whatever.
Right.
You like you appreciate it for the art that it is, but you're not like getting deep into the story. Like, this is live action role playing, this LARPing, and that is not something you would spend $5,000 to do. You'd rather be like, oh, look, Darth Vader's on a cruise. I might take a picture, but then I'm going to go back to my Mai Tai and just chill and watch the water. I don't have to act like I have to smuggle a drink.
Who doesn't love LARPing on any day?
I would LARP, but $5,000 is an expensive LARPing tag.
You don't even have to pay me to LARP. I'll just LARP. I'll
Yeah.
just do it. Yeah. Well, Ammonia says, I could see a Galactic Star Cruiser changing the cruise styles to different Star Wars eras since the story of the ship goes back hundreds of years. Absolutely. Great idea. Great concept. And I think something that will pull in those folks that might be on sort of the peripheral interest groups, those folks that might be waiting to see whether or not they go that direction, because again, you got to sink a lot of money into doing something like this. So those folks that may have an interest about the other eras and not necessarily about the current one as the storyline sits. So that's a great perspective, and I certainly think that we could see that, especially based on what they're now telling us, at least what Sabina pulled out of them. So that's great. And Trisha says, I watched all the vlogs, looks awesome, but the average person can't afford that price.
I don't think they're aiming at the average person.
Yeah, I guess not. They have to be considering just the exclusive upsell groups, the people that can, and I guess the folks that have the mansions can come join them. So yeah, it's I don't know long term that this is really going to work, but we'll see a year from now exactly where we stand and how occupied the Star Cruiser has been the entire time. Being able to look back and see that. And Garrett, if they were to create a Star Cruiser hotel experience somewhere else, but retheme it with different IP outside of Star Wars universe, what do you think they should do? What sort of IP should they infuse into a ultra immersive hotel resort?
I could get behind an Indiana Jones one. I think
Oh,
getting to be a
that could
character
be
in
fun.
Indiana Jones, and you've seen the stunt spectacular at Hollywood Studios, but to be able to swing from a vine and whip and like live out that adventure but action sequence, I think is really cool. I wouldn't necessarily do the whole ripping someone's heart out of their still beating chest, like Temple of Doom, but I think Indiana Jones adds an element that you could work with. Other than that, something Avengers could definitely do it, because who doesn't want to be a superhero? I think that would be really fun, and I think there's a lot more to pull from where you aren't as limited by, say, timelines, because Avengers can take place at any point, and like, oh, Captain America's here, well, he's in 20 films versus Kylo Ren is in 3 films. You're kind of limited in that space, so Avengers could work. So either Avengers or Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is the child in me that wants to get run away from a boulder and hop in an airplane. They're like, I hate snakes, Jacques. Like, I would love to relive those moments if I could.
Be so cool to stay in Stark Tower or something like that.
Yeah.
Would be such a neat thing to be able to explore.
Jarvis waking you up like, sir, it's time to get up. You have breakfast in 15.
Good morning, so yes, absolutely. Well, Garrett, before we get out of here, one more happy birthday to our own Tyler Crouch. Hip hip hooray!
Hip hip hooray!
Can you sing happy birthday to him?
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday,
to you.
Happy birthday, dear Tyler. Happy birthday to you sweet prince. Yeah. We are definitely going to be on the Dapper Dans. I can already see it.
Acapella style. Garrett and the Dub, as they call us.
Absolutely.
Hell of a
Let's
name.
do it. Absolutely. Let's do it. We're going to get
Yes.
t-shirts made for selling out, the Hollywood Amphitheater and everything.
Absolutely. And, if we run the merch sales at the amphitheater, no doubt we can have your head on the front, my head on the back, and it can be a hell of a shirt. No doubt that we would sell out ASAP.
Will not flop.
Ammonia saying, happy birthday, Tyler, in chat. Palace Adventures saying, I would love an Adventures experience in chat. Yes. Great concept there, Garrett. Very nice. And also, before we get out of here, as a reminder, we'd like to reward you for watching this show and being a part of the broadcast. Make sure that you leave the phrase that pays in the comment section underneath this video. As soon as the live video is over, you are able to leave comments. Once the live video ends, leave the comment. Frozen Ever After. Frozen Ever After is the phrase that pays this week. If you get selected, you'll win yourself your very own Kingdom Report mug. We select these at random, and you have between now and Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So between the 11th and the 13th of June, 8 a.m. Pacific time is when we will run on in and select the winner at random. We'll reach out to you if you're the winner, send you your favorite color as well as a little something extra. Yeah, we're going to throw in a little something extra this time, so it'll be a nice surprise. Melissa Jensen saying happy birthday, Tyler. Lori Jean Carlson saying happy birthday, Tyler, in chat. Thank you both. Tyler, enjoying a little bit of magic this week with Katrina. They are out having a birthday blowout. That's right. And I don't mean the cosmetic kind. They are going crazy. Yeah, they are having a great time, and sounds like a special dinner tonight for old Tyler, so that'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait for him to experience that up close and in person, because he deserves it. And how old again? 57, you said?
57, but he doesn't look a day over 21.
No, he does not.
Happy birthday, Tyler. Love you, man.
I don't know how he does it.
Nope.
Very, very much a fountain of youth, that boy. He's managed to pull it off.
A lot of tiki mugs. A lot of
tiki mugs. That's for sure. Yeah. I think he's definitely managed to find that fountain of youth through the tiki mugs, through the tiki cups. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think our moment of zen for the broadcast might just be this.
Here goes something. Sharon, airbags, please.
The weapon facility is not equipped with airbags.
Okay.
That's your moment of zen.
That is zenful if ever. Airbags galore. And just so everyone knows out there, he's not actually 57. That's just me joking around. If you can't tell, yeah, he's
You're
not 57.
kidding?
Yeah, I know, right? Me
What?
tell jokes? What?
I don't believe
No,
it.
he is timeless, everyone. Just so you know, I'm actually 57, but I eat a lot of spicy foods, and it keeps me looking youthful.
Yeah, voluptuous and beautiful. That's our
Thank you.
Garrett. Yes,
The Golden
absolutely.
Goose.
Oh, the Golden Goose. Garrett Hassel, ladies
Mhm.
and gentlemen. Yeah, I agree. Amonia says in chat, watch this clip like 100 times. It never stops being funny.
Nope.
It's a hard thing not to laugh at.
Mhm.
Knowing that it's a robot makes it funny, I think.
Here goes something. Sharon, airbags, please.
The weapon facility is not equipped with airbags.
Okay.
Airbags.
Okay. Yeah, it's that like I'm in pain okay at the end. Almost as painful as this.
Hello. Hi, nice to meet you. Hi. How are you? Good, thank you. How are you? Bye, thank you.
And on that note, I've got to go hop on Galaxy Star Cruiser to a galaxy far, far away.
When's the last time you posed like that for a photo, Garrett?
When I was pretending to be a tree in my 3rd grade play.
Oh. I thought that's how everybody posed for photos.
Yeah. No, do it. I think he was doing the the field goal touchdown symbol from football. Like he's like, it's good, but
it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like I'm good. Yeah, no.
It's like, tell me you're good with people without telling me you're good with people. Am I right?
We'll just well, let's agree to disagree on that one.
Well, Garrett, as we mosey on out the door, any last words regarding Disney parks? Any final thoughts on your mind?
Just that the best is still yet to come, and I'm looking forward to what D23 has to offer, because Daddy tomorrow is going to be announcing some stuff, and I'm looking forward to some awesome new additions. I'm hoping for we get a new attraction announcement, like something that's brand new. Like I want an original concept, but I might be dreaming too much. But no, Disney parks wise, I'm looking to make a way out to Disneyland real soon. Maybe hang out with you and the gang. But we'll have to see what's going, because airfare is getting a little pricey.
Would you would hang out with me?
I would indeed. I would
person?
indeed. Yes, I would hang out with you, even if it wasn't Disney. Because Wade, I like you. You seem like a good guy. You seem like you know how to take a normal picture and don't look weird when you smile. So just on those, you seem like a good friend.
Wow. And after the photo, I'll yell out, "It's good!"
Absolutely. I expect nothing less.
I look forward to that day, coming soon, no doubt. And thank you all for being a part of Disney News Talk Live this week. If you are a Disney fan, make sure you are sharing the broadcast with other folks that might appreciate it. We know there's a lot of Disney fans out there, a lot of people in the community that are no doubt looking for a podcast, no doubt looking for some content. And we know that these Disney News Talk Lives tend to go a little bit longer, and that's intentional, mainly for the sake of giving you more content that you desire and really getting into the weeds of the stories that are more so outside the parks. Disney News Talk Live kind of goes after those stories that aren't so park-centric, like we do on Kingdom Report Live and covering the rest of the week, so that we can kind of cover the entire company as much as we can. So again, we want to thank you for being a part of the broadcast, especially if you've listened all the way from the beginning here 2.5 hours in, and make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us. It means an awful lot. If you aren't subscribed, please do so. We are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from 19,000 subscribers, it looks like, and then we are on our way to the big 20K. So it has been a great joy, and I got to tell you, being a part of this team is always such a gift. With Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzoni, Sabina Graves, Garrett Hassel, I'm Wade Heath. We will see you next time for another installment of Disney News Talk Live, and next week returning with Kingdom Report Live. Can we expect you there, Garrett? Will you be able to make it?
I think I will. It all depends on if the Galaxy Star Cruiser gets me back in time, but well, I'll just have to check with R2 and we'll see where we're going. But I want to go with yeah.
I'm going to pray to Yoda that happens. We'll see you next week, everyone.